Close your eyes for a second, just 1 second. Now imagine this. What if, starting tomorrow morning, you decided to invest just 1% more into yourself every single day? Not into stocks, not into real estate, not into cryptocurrency or some trending asset that everyone on social media is screaming about. Into you, your mind, your body, your habits, your peace. What would happen if, for the next 365 days, you committed to becoming just a tiny bit sharper, a tiny bit stronger, a tiny bit more focused than you were the day before? Think about that. 1%. That is nothing, right? It is barely noticeable. You would not even feel it on day 1, or day 2, or even day 10. But here is the thing that most people never realize. Growth does not work like a light switch. You do not flip it on and suddenly become a new person overnight. Growth works like compound interest. It builds slowly, quietly, almost invisibly. And then one day, you wake up and the person staring back at you in the mirror is someone you barely recognize. Someone stronger, someone calmer, someone who walks into a room and does not need anyone else's approval to feel worthy. That is what happens when you invest in yourself. And that is exactly what we are going to talk about today. Now, here is a question that might sting a little, but I want you to sit with it. When was the last time you genuinely, intentionally, deliberately invested in yourself? Not scrolled through a motivational quote on Instagram and felt good for 3 seconds. Not watched a self-help video while eating dinner and forgot about it by bedtime. I mean, truly invested. Sat down with a book and gave it your full attention. Woke up 30 minutes earlier to move your body. Looked at your daily habits and asked yourself honestly, are these habits building the life I actually want? If you are being truthful, the answer for most people is either rarely or never. And that is not because you are lazy. It is not because you do not care. It is because nobody ever taught you that you are the most valuable investment you will ever make. We grow up in a world that teaches us to chase things, chase grades, chase degrees, chase promotions, chase money, chase status, chase approval, and somewhere in that endless chase, we forget the most important thing of all, the person doing all the chasing, you. Think about it this way. We talk about investing all the time. People pour thousands of dollars into the stock market hoping for a 10 or 15% return. They buy property, gold, bonds, index funds. They analyze charts, read market reports, watch financial news like their life depends on it. And none of that is wrong. Financial literacy is important. But here is a question that almost nobody asks. What is the safest investment in the world? What is the one investment that is guaranteed to pay you back, no matter what the economy does, no matter what the market looks like, no matter what happens in the world around you? The answer is you, investing in yourself. Because markets crash, businesses fail, real estate values plummet, entire industries disappear overnight. But the skills you develop, the knowledge you gain, the habits you build, the mental strength you cultivate, the health you protect, those stay with you forever. Nobody can take them away. No recession, no layoff, no market correction. They are yours. And that is what this journey is about. This is not some complicated philosophy lecture. This is not going to be filled with abstract theories or academic jargon that sounds impressive but means nothing in your real life. This is practical. This is personal. This is about the small, everyday actions that most people dismiss as insignificant, but that actually have the power to transform everything: your time, your energy, your habits, your daily choices. These are your real capital. And when you learn to direct them intentionally, when you stop spending them randomly and start investing them strategically, your growth becomes unstoppable. Imagine waking up every morning and spending just a few minutes reading something valuable, taking care of your body, even if it is just a short walk, learning one new skill, reflecting on your thoughts, your emotions, your direction. It does not sound revolutionary, does it? It sounds almost too simple. But that is precisely the point. Because slowly, day by day, a new version of you begins to emerge. A version that is more confident, more focused, more committed to your goals, more resilient when life throws its inevitable curveballs. The biggest message here is this: success is not one single dramatic decision. It is not a Hollywood movie moment where the music swells and everything changes in an instant. Success is the result of small, correct decisions made every single day. Every good habit you build, every new thing you learn, every tiny improvement you make. They all shape your future, one brick at a time. Today, we are going deep. We are going to explore how you can upgrade your mindset, protect your health, expand your knowledge, and transform your daily habits to become the most powerful version of yourself. This is not just information. This is a wake-up call, a reminder that your greatest strength, your greatest asset, and your greatest investment is you. So get ready for a journey that will not take you to some exotic destination on the other side of the world. This journey takes you somewhere far more important. It takes you back to yourself. Chapter 1. You are the greatest asset. Let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about this, not just skim over it. If you lost your job tomorrow morning, if your bank account dropped to zero, if every external label that defines you, your title, your salary, your social status, your reputation, if all of that was stripped away in an instant, what would be left? Would you still feel valuable? Would you still believe in yourself? Would you still know who you are? That question sounds simple on the surface, but the deeper you go, the more uncomfortable it gets. Because the honest truth is that most of us have built our entire identity around things that exist outside of us. Our job title, our paycheck, our relationship status, our followers count. The car we drive, the neighborhood we live in, the opinions other people have of us. And we have done this so gradually, so unconsciously, that we do not even realize it until something shakes the foundation. A layoff, a breakup, a failure, a moment when the external scaffolding collapses and we are left standing there alone, wondering who we actually are without all of it. Here is what nobody tells you when you are growing up. Nobody sits you down and says, "Hey, your value as a human being has absolutely nothing to do with your resume, your bank statement, or what other people think of you." Instead, we are taught the opposite. Get good grades, get into a good college, get a good job, make good money, buy a nice house, drive a nice car, impress the right people, climb the ladder, and if you do all of that, you will be successful. You will be happy. You will be somebody. But what happens when you do all of that and you still feel empty inside? What happens when you have the corner office, the six-figure salary, the house with the white picket fence in a nice suburb of Chicago or London or wherever, and you still cannot sleep at night because something inside you feels hollow? What happens when you look around at everything you have accumulated and realize that none of it actually fills the space that matters most? That is the moment when you realize that real success was never about accumulating things. Real success is about building yourself. It is about becoming someone who does not need external validation to feel worthy. Someone who is grounded, centered, and unshakable, not because life is easy, but because they have done the inner work to become strong from the inside out. Think about the people you admire most in this world, not the ones with the most money or the biggest houses, the ones who genuinely inspire you, the ones who walk into a room and you can feel their presence without them saying a word. What is it about them? Is it their bank account? Is it their car? Is it their Instagram following? No. It is something deeper. It is their energy, their confidence, their clarity, their groundedness. And those things do not come from external achievements. They come from years of investing in themselves, from reading, reflecting, growing, learning, failing, getting back up, and doing it all over again. That is the foundation nobody talks about. Now let me tell you about a guy named Marcus. Marcus was 28 years old, living in a small apartment in Portland, Oregon. On paper, he had a decent life, a stable job at a marketing firm, a decent salary, a small group of friends. Nothing extraordinary, nothing terrible. But if you looked closely, you would notice something. Marcus was exhausted, not the kind of tired you feel after a long day at work, a deeper kind of tired, the kind that sits in your bones and makes everything feel heavy. See, Marcus had spent his entire adult life being the reliable one, the guy who always showed up, the friend who dropped everything when someone needed help, the employee who stayed late without being asked, the brother who sent money home every month without fail, the person who said yes to every request, every favor, every obligation, no matter what it cost him personally. And for a long time, Marcus thought this was a good thing. He thought, if I take care of everyone else, eventually someone will take care of me. If I make everyone happy, eventually I will be happy too. But that is not what happened. What happened was the opposite. The more Marcus gave, the less he had left for himself. His energy started draining, his motivation disappeared, his creativity, which used to be his greatest strength, dried up completely. He stopped reading. He stopped working out. He stopped dreaming. He even stopped caring about his own goals because he was so busy helping everyone else achieve theirs. And the worst part? Nobody noticed. Nobody turned to Marcus and said, "Hey man, are you okay?" Because everyone was so used to him being the strong one, the dependable one, the one who never needed anything, that they forgot he was human too. One cold Tuesday night in November, Marcus came home from work, sat down on his couch, and just stared at the wall. No TV, no phone, no distractions, just silence. And in that silence, for the first time in years, he asked himself a question that changed everything. I have spent my entire life doing things for everyone else. What have I done for me? That question hit him like a freight train, because the answer was nothing. He had invested years of time, energy, emotion, and effort into other people's dreams, other people's problems, other people's happiness. But he had invested almost nothing into his own growth, his own health, his own peace of mind. And that night, something shifted inside Marcus. He did not sign up for an expensive coaching program. He did not buy a $2,000 online course. He did not start following some guru on YouTube and memorize their catchphrases. He made one simple, quiet decision. Every day, I am going to give myself at least 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. That is it. That is all. 10 minutes where the phone goes on silent. 10 minutes where he does not check emails or answer texts. 10 minutes that belong entirely to him. He started the next morning. He woke up 10 minutes earlier, sat by his window with a cup of black coffee, and just breathed. He did not meditate in any formal way. He did not do anything fancy. He just sat there quietly and listened to his own thoughts. Something he had not done in years. And you know what he realized? He realized that his own mind had become a stranger to him. He had been so busy filling his days with noise, obligations, and other people's agendas that he had completely lost touch with his own inner voice. That first week was awkward, uncomfortable even. Sitting in silence with yourself is not easy when you have spent years running from yourself. But Marcus kept going. 10 minutes became 15. 15 became 20. He started reading again just a few pages before bed. He bought a simple notebook and began writing down 3 things he wanted to accomplish each day. Small things. Call the dentist. Go for a walk after dinner. Read 1 chapter of that book that had been sitting on his shelf for 2 years. He started paying attention to his body. He noticed how terrible he felt after eating fast food 3 times a week. He noticed how sluggish he was because he had not exercised in months. So, he started small. A 15-minute walk around his neighborhood after work. Nothing heroic. Nothing Instagram-worthy. Just a guy walking around the block, breathing fresh air, clearing his head. 3 months later, something remarkable happened. Nothing about Marcus's external life had changed. Same job, same apartment, same salary, same city. But Marcus had changed. There was a clarity in his eyes that was not there before, a steadiness in his voice, a calmness in the way he carried himself. His co-workers started noticing. His friends started noticing. Even his boss pulled him aside one day and said, "I do not know what you are doing differently, but whatever it is, keep doing it." And the funny thing is, Marcus was not doing anything dramatic. He was simply investing in himself consistently, in small ways, every single day. He was reading books that challenged his thinking. He was exercising regularly. He was eating better. He was sleeping more. He was setting boundaries. He was saying no to things that drained him and yes to things that filled him up. And most importantly, he was listening to himself, his needs, his desires, his dreams, the ones he had buried under years of other people's expectations. Here is what Marcus understood that most people never do. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give what you do not have. And if you spend your entire life investing in everything and everyone except yourself, eventually there will be nothing left to give. The world tells you that selflessness is a virtue. And it is, to a point. But there is a difference between selflessness and self-neglect. Selflessness means being generous with your time, your love, your resources. Self-neglect means forgetting that you matter too. And too many people confuse the two. Here is the truth that nobody wants to hear. You are your greatest asset. Not your house, not your car, not your degree, not your job, not your relationship, not your bank account. You, the person reading this right now, your mind, your body, your energy, your potential, your ability to learn, grow, adapt, and become something greater than you are today. That is your real wealth. And when you invest in that, when you put time and energy into becoming better, smarter, stronger, calmer, more focused, more resilient, everything around you starts to improve too. Your relationships get better because you are showing up as a better version of yourself. Your career improves because you are bringing more value, more creativity, more clarity to the table. Your health improves because you are finally making it a priority instead of an afterthought. Your confidence grows because you are honoring the commitments you make to yourself. It is like a ripple effect. When you grow, your world grows with you. Now imagine something with me for a second. What if you gave yourself just 30 minutes a day? Just 30 minutes. 10 minutes for your mind, reading, learning, reflecting. 10 minutes for your body, walking, stretching, exercising. 10 minutes for your soul, meditating, journaling, praying, whatever feeds your spirit. 30 minutes out of 1,440 minutes in a day. That is roughly 2% of your day. Just 2% invested in yourself. Now multiply that by 365 days. That is over 180 hours of self-investment in a single year. 180 hours. Do you realize what that could do to your confidence, to your clarity, to your energy, to your entire life trajectory? This is not wishful thinking. This is mathematics. This is what happens when you treat yourself like the valuable asset you actually are. We deposit money in the bank so it grows over time. We expect returns on our financial investments. But what about the deposits you make into yourself? Every time you read a book, that is a deposit into your knowledge account. Every time you exercise, that is a deposit into your health account. Every time you practice discipline, that is a deposit into your character account. Every time you reflect and grow your self-awareness, that is a deposit into your wisdom account. And the returns on these investments, they last a lifetime. No market crash can take them from you. A lot of people say, I do not have time. And I get it. Life is busy. Jobs are demanding. Families need attention. Bills need to be paid. But here is what I have learned. It is never a time problem. It is always a priority problem. We have time to scroll through social media for 2 hours. We have time to binge watch an entire season of a show on Netflix in one weekend. We have time to argue with strangers on Twitter about things that will not matter in 24 hours. But we do not have 20 minutes to read a book. We do not have 15 minutes to go for a walk. We do not have 10 minutes to sit in silence and check in with ourselves. Come on, let us be honest here. The time is there. We are just choosing to spend it on things that do not serve our growth. And that is the biggest mistake most people make. Because every time you ignore yourself, every time you push your own needs to the bottom of the list, every time you say, I will start tomorrow, you are losing a piece of yourself. You are sending your subconscious a message that says, I am not important enough. My growth does not matter. My dreams can wait. And over time, that message becomes a belief, and that belief becomes your reality. But here is the good news. Every time you take one small step toward investing in yourself, you are sending a different message, a message that says, I matter, my growth matters, my future matters, and I am choosing right now, today, to show up for myself. So remember this. Your greatest asset is not your bank balance. It is not your house. It is not your car. It is not your business. It is not your social status. Your greatest asset is you. And when you invest in yourself, when you commit to becoming better every single day, every area of your life begins to improve. Because at the end of the day, there is one truth that never changes. When you grow, everything around you grows too. So make a decision today, a real one, not a vague, someday kind of promise. A decision that starts right now. Decide to take yourself seriously. Decide to invest in yourself. Decide to take one small step every day toward becoming the best version of who you are meant to be. Because the greatest return in this world does not come from the stock market or real estate or gold or crypto. The greatest return comes from investing in yourself. Chapter 2. Time is your real currency. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and checking your bank account, and there it is, $10 million, just sitting there, more money than you have ever seen in your life. You could buy anything, a penthouse in Manhattan, a villa on the coast of Italy, a brand new car, first-class flights to anywhere in the world. You could quit your job, never work another day, and live like the people you see in magazines. But there is one catch. You have no time left to enjoy any of it. Your body is broken. Your health is gone. Your energy is drained. You can barely get out of bed, let alone travel the world or enjoy the things money can buy. Now let me ask you, would you call yourself rich? Would you look at that bank balance and feel successful? Would you trade places with someone who has far less money, but wakes up every morning feeling alive, energized, excited about the day ahead? I think you know the answer. And that answer reveals one of the most important truths about life that most people learn far too late. Money is not your most valuable resource. Time is. Because here is the reality that we all know intellectually but rarely live by. Everything in this world can be replaced except time. If you lose money, you can earn it back. If your business fails, you can start another one. If a relationship ends, you can build new ones. If you lose your reputation, you can rebuild it. But time, once a minute is gone, it is gone forever. There is no refund, no reset button, no second chance. It just disappears, quietly, permanently, without even asking your permission. And what makes this even more fascinating, and honestly a little terrifying, is that when it comes to time, every single human being on this planet is equal. The CEO of a Fortune 500 company and the college student working part-time at a coffee shop both get the same 24 hours. Not 1 minute more, not 1 second less. Jeff Bezos cannot buy an extra hour. Elon Musk cannot negotiate for a longer day. The President of the United States has exactly the same amount of time in a day as you do. The only difference, the only thing that separates the people who build extraordinary lives from the people who wonder where the years went, is how they use those hours. Some people spend their time, others invest it. And that single distinction changes everything. Think about that word for a second. Spend. When you spend something, it is gone. You get a momentary benefit, maybe some entertainment, maybe some comfort, maybe a quick hit of dopamine from scrolling through your phone. But there is no lasting return. It is consumption. Now think about the word invest. When you invest something, you are planting a seed. You are putting resources into something today that will pay you back tomorrow, next month, next year, for the rest of your life. Same resource, same 24 hours, but a completely different outcome depending on whether you spend or invest. Most of us grow up hearing the same message on repeat. Make money, build a career, be successful. And gradually, we internalize this idea that money is the ultimate measure of a life well lived. But here is something that took me a long time to understand. Money is just a byproduct of time well invested. Money is the result, not the resource. The real resource, the one that makes everything else possible, is time. Because money can work for you. You can invest it and let compound interest do its thing. But time does not work that way. Time does not wait around. It does not care about your plans, your excuses, or your good intentions. It just keeps moving forward, steadily, relentlessly, whether you use it wisely or not. Here is a thought experiment that really puts this into perspective. Imagine someone handed you $86,400 every single morning. Cash. No strings attached. But there is one rule. Whatever you do not use by midnight disappears. It does not roll over. It does not accumulate. It is gone. Would you waste it? Would you throw it away on things that do not matter? Would you let it sit there untouched while you scroll through social media or argue about politics online? Of course not. You would be intentional about every single dollar. You would plan. You would prioritize. You would make every cent count. Well, here's the thing. Every single day, you receive exactly 86,400 seconds. And whatever you do not use wisely, whatever you spend on meaningless scrolling, pointless gossip, obsessive overthinking, endless procrastination, it disappears at midnight. Gone. Forever. No refund. And most people treat their seconds like they are infinite, like there will always be more, like time is this unlimited resource that stretches on forever, but it does not. And by the time most people realize that, it is already too late. Let me tell you about a woman named Claire. Claire was 23 when she graduated from the University of Michigan with a degree in communications and a head full of dreams. She wanted to write, not corporate copy or marketing emails, but real writing, novels, essays, stories that mattered. She wanted to travel, to see the world, to live a life that felt meaningful and alive. She wanted to get in the best shape of her life. She wanted to learn Spanish. She wanted to start a blog and build an audience. She had a vision board on her bedroom wall with all of these goals pinned up in colorful sticky notes. She was going to do all of it, starting tomorrow. But tomorrow turned into next week. Next week turned into next month. Next month turned into maybe after the holidays. Claire was not lazy. That is important to understand. She was not sitting around doing nothing. She was busy. She had a full-time job at a small agency in Detroit. She had a social life. She had responsibilities. She had all the normal stuff that fills up a person's days. But she had one habit that quietly destroyed her dreams. She was a chronic procrastinator. Not the dramatic kind who misses deadlines and gets fired, the subtle kind, the kind who always has a reason why today is not the right day to start. I will start writing my novel when work slows down. I will join a gym after the holidays. I will start learning Spanish. When I finish this other thing first, I will launch my blog when I have a better idea for the name. There was always a reason, always a perfectly logical, perfectly reasonable excuse for why today was not the day. And so the days passed, weeks stacked on top of weeks. Months dissolved into seasons, and seasons blurred into years. One evening, Claire was cleaning out her apartment, getting ready to move to a new place across town. She found a box in the back of her closet. Inside it was her old vision board. The sticky notes had faded. The edges were curling. She stared at it for a long time. Every single goal on that board was exactly the same as it had been 5 years ago. She had not written the novel. She had not learned Spanish. She had not started the blog. She had not traveled. She had not gotten in shape. The dreams were still there. The intention was still there. But life had moved on without her. 5 years. Gone. Not because she lacked talent. Not because she lacked opportunity. But because she kept telling herself that she had plenty of time. And time, as it always does, proved her wrong. Claire sat on the floor of her empty apartment that night and cried. Not dramatic movie-style crying, quiet crying, the kind that comes from a deep place of regret. And the only thought in her mind was, I wish I had understood the value of time sooner. That is the regret that haunts millions of people, because we walk through life with this illusion that time is abundant, that there will always be another tomorrow, another Monday, another January 1st, another perfect moment to start. But the truth is, time is slipping away right now. Every second you're reading this, time is moving, and it will not slow down, pause, or wait for you to be ready. Now here is the part that most people miss. Using your time well does not mean being busy all the time. There is a massive difference between being busy and being productive. Busy is answering emails for 3 hours without accomplishing anything meaningful. Productive is spending 45 focused minutes on the one task that actually moves your life forward. Busy is filling every minute of your day with activity, so you feel important. Productive is being intentional about where your energy goes, so you actually are important. A lot of people wear busyness like a badge of honor. They say things like, I am so busy, as if it is proof that they are living a meaningful life. But busyness without direction is just noise. It is the illusion of progress without any actual movement. The people who build truly remarkable lives are not the busiest. They are the most intentional. They understand that time is their most valuable currency, and they refuse to spend it on things that do not align with their goals, their values, or their vision for the future. Let me give you some simple math. If you invest just 30 minutes a day into learning a new skill, that is 182 hours in a year. 182 hours is enough to become proficient in a new language, learn to play an instrument, build the foundation of a side business, or completely transform your fitness level. If you read for just 15 minutes before bed every night, you will finish roughly 15 to 20 books in a year. Think about what 20 books of wisdom, strategy, and insight could do for your thinking, your decision-making, your worldview. If you exercise for just 20 minutes a day, 365 days later, your energy, your confidence, your health, and your appearance will be unrecognizable compared to where you started. These numbers are not impressive on any single day. 30 minutes is nothing. 15 minutes is barely a blip. 20 minutes feels insignificant. But compounded over time, they become extraordinary. That is the real power of time. It turns small, consistent actions into massive results. And the beautiful thing is, it works for everyone equally. You do not need money. You do not need connections. You do not need talent. You just need to show up every day and invest a small portion of your time into becoming better. Now I know what some of you are thinking. I do not have time. And I hear you. Life is demanding. Work is stressful. Kids need attention. Bills pile up. There are 1,000 things competing for your time every single day. But let me challenge you with this. It is never about having time. It is always about making time. We all have the same 24 hours. And if you track how you actually spend your day, honestly, without sugarcoating it, you will probably find hours that are being wasted on things that do not serve your growth. The average American spends over 4 hours a day on their phone. 4 hours. That is 28 hours a week. Over 1,400 hours a year. Imagine redirecting even a fraction of that time towards something meaningful. Even 1 hour a day would give you 365 hours of growth in a year. 365 hours. That is enough to change your entire life. Remember, time is your silent business partner. If you invest it wisely, it quietly builds you an extraordinary life in the background. But if you ignore it, if you waste it, if you treat it like it is unlimited, it will quietly leave you behind. And the biggest regret will not be that you tried and failed. The biggest regret will be that you never started at all. But here is the good news. You still have this moment, right here, right now. You can make a new decision today. You can decide that from this moment forward, you will stop spending your time and start investing it. A few minutes for your mind, a few minutes for your body, a few minutes for your dreams. Because time is like a seed. If you water it every day with intention, with discipline, with purpose, it grows into something extraordinary. But if you neglect it, it withers, and the opportunities wither with it. So stop spending your time. Start investing it, because time is your real wealth. And how you use it today will determine who you become tomorrow. Chapter 3. Upgrade your mind daily. Think about your brain for a second. Really think about it. You are carrying around the most powerful system ever created. Not the most powerful computer, not the most powerful algorithm, the most powerful system in the known universe. Your brain can dream. It can create. It can solve problems that do not even exist yet. It can learn languages, build businesses, compose music, write poetry, decode the mysteries of the cosmos. It can do things that no artificial intelligence, no supercomputer, no machine on Earth can replicate. And yet, how many of us are actually using it? How many of us are actively feeding it, challenging it, expanding it? Or are we letting it run on the same outdated software year after year, filled with the same old fears, the same old doubts, the same old excuses, the same old limitations? Your mind is like a computer, but with one critical difference. A computer has a fixed amount of memory. Your mind has virtually unlimited capacity. The more you feed it, the more you challenge it, the more you expose it to new ideas and new experiences, the more powerful it becomes. But if you leave it idle, if you stop feeding it new information, if you stop challenging it, something dangerous happens. It does not just stay the same. It actually starts working against you. It fills itself with old fears, old doubts, old limiting beliefs, old excuses. And then the very organ that was designed to propel you forward starts holding you back. It becomes a prison instead of a launch pad. Here is an analogy that might hit home. Think about your phone. If your phone suddenly started running slow, if apps kept crashing, if the screen froze every 5 minutes, if it was stuck on an operating system from 3 years ago, what would you do? You would update it immediately. You would clear the storage. You would delete the junk. You would install the latest software. Because you know that without regular updates, performance degrades. You know that an outdated system cannot keep up with the demands of a modern world. But here's the irony. We update our phones religiously, but we rarely update our minds. We walk around with the same thoughts we had 5 years ago, the same fears we developed in childhood, the same limiting beliefs we absorbed from teachers, parents, friends, or society, without ever questioning whether they are actually true. And then we wonder why our lives are not changing. But here's the truth that will set you free, if you let it. Your life will not change until your thinking changes. Every transformation starts with a shift in mindset. Every breakthrough begins with a new thought. Every new chapter of your life starts with a new belief about what is possible. Let me tell you about a guy named Daniel. Daniel was 34, working a mid-level corporate job at a consulting firm in Boston. He was not miserable. That is important. He was not on the verge of a breakdown. He was just stuck. Stuck in a routine that felt like Groundhog Day. Wake up at 6:30, commute for 45 minutes, sit in meetings that could have been emails, answer emails that could have been nothing, commute home, watch TV, go to bed, repeat. Somewhere inside him, buried under layers of routine and comfort, there was a voice that whispered, "You can do more than this. You were meant for something bigger." But there was another voice, louder and more persistent, that said, "No, you cannot. You are not smart enough. You are not talented enough. You do not have the right connections. Do not take risks. Stay safe. Stay comfortable. Stay where you are." And Daniel listened to the louder voice. For years, he listened. He never picked up a book about personal development. He never listened to a podcast about entrepreneurship. He never studied how people actually change their lives. He never explored what confidence really is or where it comes from. He never learned about the science of habits and how they shape your destiny. He just accepted the narrative that his mind had been telling him since he was a teenager. You are average. Stay in your lane. This is as good as it gets. Now imagine a different version of Daniel. Imagine the same guy, same job, same apartment, same life. But imagine that he decided to spend just 15 minutes a day investing in his mind. 15 minutes reading a book about mindset. 15 minutes listening to a podcast about people who overcame obstacles similar to his. 15 minutes studying how confidence is built, how habits are formed, how successful people think differently from everyone else. Would his thinking stay the same? Absolutely not. Over weeks and months, that 15 minutes would start to rewire his brain. He would begin seeing opportunities where he used to see obstacles. He would start believing in possibilities where he used to see dead ends. He would develop the courage to take small risks, then bigger ones, then ones that would have seemed impossible just a year ago. That is the power of knowledge. One new idea, one new perspective, one new insight can change the entire trajectory of your life. And that is why your mind needs fresh fuel every single day. Not junk food, not gossip, not fear-based news designed to keep you anxious and clicking. Real fuel, ideas, insights, perspectives. Stories of people who have walked the path you want to walk and can show you what is possible. When you read, you are not just absorbing words on a page. You're meeting new ideas. You're expanding your worldview. You're seeing possibilities that did not exist in your mind before, and slowly, gradually, your perspective begins to shift. But knowledge alone is not enough. Awareness is just as important. Awareness means understanding what you are thinking and why you are thinking it. Because until you can observe your own thought patterns, you cannot change them. You will keep running the same mental programs, getting the same results, and wondering why nothing is different. When your awareness grows, you can catch yourself in the act. You can notice when you are comparing yourself to others and choose to stop. You can recognize jealousy when it shows up and choose not to feed it. You can feel self-doubt creeping in and say, "I see you, but I am not listening to you today." Most importantly, you become the master of your thoughts instead of their prisoner. A lot of people say, "I do not like reading. I do not have time to learn." And yet those same people can spend 4 hours scrolling through TikTok or Instagram Reels without blinking. The issue is not time. The issue is priority. The question is not whether you have time to invest in your mind. The question is, what are you filling your mind with? Because whatever you feed your brain, that is what it becomes. If you fill it with negativity, fear, comparison, and distraction every day, your thinking will reflect that. Your decisions will reflect that. Your life will reflect that. But if you fill it with ideas, learning, growth, and possibility, your future will be shaped by that instead. The simplest way to upgrade your mind is to start asking yourself better questions. Most people go through their entire day on autopilot. They react to whatever comes their way without ever stopping to think consciously about what they are doing or why. But when you pause and ask yourself real questions, something shifts. Questions like, who am I becoming? What do I actually want from my life? What is my biggest weakness right now, and what am I doing about it? How can I be just 1% better today than I was yesterday? These questions wake your brain up. They pull it out of autopilot. They force it to engage, to think, to reflect. And when a person starts truly thinking, truly questioning, truly reflecting, that is when transformation begins. Remember, your thoughts create your decisions. Your decisions create your habits. Your habits create your character. And your character creates your destiny. It all starts with what is happening inside your head. So make a commitment today. Feed your mind something valuable every single day. Read a book. Listen to an audiobook. Watch something that challenges your thinking. Learn about someone who faced unimaginable obstacles and found a way through. Because when you see what others have achieved, your own mind starts to believe that bigger things are possible for you too. Slowly, opportunities begin to appear. Possibilities begin to reveal themselves. And most importantly, you begin to trust yourself. And when a person truly trusts themselves, nothing is impossible. So make a promise to yourself right now. You will not starve your mind. Every day, you will feed it something new, something valuable, something that makes it stronger, sharper, and more capable than it was yesterday. Because every new idea, every new lesson, every new understanding brings you one step closer to the person you are meant to become. And never forget this. A powerful mind builds a powerful life. When your mind expands, your world expands with it. When your thinking changes, your life changes with it. So start upgrading your mind today, right now, because your future does not depend on what you already know. It depends on what you are willing to learn next. Chapter 4. Protect and improve your health. I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine you have achieved everything you have ever wanted. Every single goal on your list checked off. You have built a thriving career. You have financial freedom. Your relationships are deep and fulfilling. You have traveled to the places you always dreamed about. You have earned the respect of people you admire. You have created a life that, on paper, looks absolutely perfect. But your body has given up on you. Your knees ache when you climb stairs. Your back screams at you when you bend down to tie your shoes. You are out of breath after walking half a block. You cannot sleep through the night. Your energy is so low that getting through a normal day feels like running a marathon. Your doctor just told you that the years of neglect have caught up, and now you are dealing with things that could have been prevented if you had just paid attention earlier. Now tell me, does all that success still feel like success? Does the corner office matter when you cannot sit in the chair without pain? Does the vacation home in the south of France matter when you do not have the energy to enjoy it? Does the money in your account matter when your body is writing checks it can no longer cash? I think we both know the answer, and yet, despite knowing this, despite understanding at a fundamental level that health is the foundation everything else is built on, most people treat it like an afterthought, something they will get to later, something they will prioritize after the next promotion, after the next project, after the holidays, after things settle down. But things never settle down, do they? There is always another reason to wait, always another excuse to push it to tomorrow. And tomorrow, as we already talked about, has a nasty habit of never actually arriving. Here is what makes this so painfully ironic. We chase success with everything we have got. We sacrifice sleep to finish projects. We skip meals to meet deadlines. We sit in chairs for 10, 12, 14 hours a day staring at screens. We drink coffee like it is water and eat convenience food because who has time to cook? We push through exhaustion because hustle culture told us that grinding is the path to greatness. And then, when our bodies finally break down, when the doctor gives us news we did not want to hear, when we find ourselves in a hospital bed wondering how we got there, we realize something devastating. We spent our health trying to earn our wealth, and now we are spending our wealth trying to recover our health. It is the most vicious cycle in modern life, and millions of people are trapped in it right now without even realizing it. Think about the people in your life who are incredibly talented, smart, driven, full of ideas and ambition. You probably know at least one person like this. Someone who has everything it takes to build an extraordinary life. But they are perpetually tired. Their mind is foggy. Their energy crashes by 2 in the afternoon. They get sick constantly. They are irritable, unfocused, and running on caffeine and willpower instead of genuine vitality. And they wonder why they cannot seem to break through to the next level. They think it is a motivation problem, a strategy problem, a knowledge problem. But it is not. It is a health problem. Because talent without energy is like a sports car without fuel. It looks impressive sitting in the driveway, but it is not going anywhere. Let me tell you about a guy named Ryan. Ryan was 29 and living in Austin, Texas. He had graduated near the top of his class at the University of Texas, landed a great job at a tech startup, and was quickly climbing the ladder. He was ambitious in the way that people in their late 20s often are, hungry, relentless, convinced that sleep was for the weak and rest was for people who did not want it badly enough. Ryan's typical day looked something like this. Wake up at 5:30, check emails before his feet hit the floor, skip breakfast because who has time? Get to the office by 7, back-to-back meetings until noon, lunch at his desk, usually something from a vending machine or a fast food delivery app, more meetings, more emails, leave the office at 7 or 8, come home, open his laptop, and do freelance work on the side because he was trying to save enough to launch his own company. Fall asleep on the couch around midnight with the laptop still open. Repeat. For a while, it seemed like this was working. Ryan was getting things done. His boss was impressed. His side projects were generating some income. He felt productive. He felt like he was winning. But underneath the surface, something was breaking. It started small. A headache that would not go away. Trouble sleeping even when he was exhausted. A tightness in his chest that he blamed on stress. He noticed he was getting angry over tiny things, snapping at his girlfriend, losing patience in meetings. His focus, which used to be razor sharp, was getting blurry. He could not concentrate for more than 15 minutes without his mind wandering. But Ryan ignored all of it. He told himself this was just the price of success. No pain, no gain, right? Grind now, rest later, sacrifice today so you can enjoy tomorrow. All the motivational cliches that sound great on a poster but destroy people's lives in practice. Then one Saturday morning, Ryan collapsed in his kitchen. His girlfriend called an ambulance. At the hospital, the doctor ran tests and then sat down with Ryan and said something he would never forget. Your body is not broken. It is exhausted. You have been running it at full speed with no maintenance, no rest, and no fuel, and it is shutting down to protect itself. Think about that. Ryan's body was not attacked by some disease. It was not betrayed by bad genetics. It simply quit because Ryan had been treating it like a machine instead of a living, breathing organism that needs care, rest, and nourishment to function. Ryan spent 3 days in that hospital, and during those 3 days, lying in a bed with nothing to do but think, he had a realization that changed his life. He had been so obsessed with building his future that he had been destroying the very thing he needed to get there. His body, his health, his foundation. What good is a 6-figure salary if you are too tired to enjoy it? What good is launching your dream company if your body gives out before it gets off the ground? What good is all the ambition in the world if you are running on empty? Ryan's story is not unique. It is happening to millions of people right now. People who are smart enough to know better, but too caught up in the grind to stop and listen to what their body is telling them. And the body always tells you. It sends signals, fatigue, brain fog, irritability, insomnia, frequent illness, weight gain, anxiety, digestive problems, chronic pain. These are not random inconveniences. They are warning signs. Your body's way of saying, hey, I need you to pay attention. I need you to slow down. I need you to take care of me, or I will not be able to take care of you. Now here is the part where most people make another mistake. They hear the word health and immediately think they need to become a fitness model. They think Getting healthy means spending 2 hours a day in the gym, eating nothing but chicken and broccoli, and running ultra marathons on weekends. And because that sounds so extreme and overwhelming, they do nothing at all. But here is the truth. Good health does not start with dramatic changes. It starts with small, sustainable habits that you can maintain every single day. Walking for 20 minutes after dinner, drinking enough water throughout the day, eating real food instead of processed junk most of the time, going to bed at a reasonable hour and actually getting 7 or 8 hours of sleep, taking 5 minutes in the morning to stretch, breathe, and set your intention for the day. These are not heroic acts. Nobody is going to make a documentary about you going for a 20-minute walk. But compounded over months and years, these small habits are the difference between a body that supports your dreams and a body that sabotages them. That is it. That is the secret. Consistency with small things beats intensity with big things every single time. But physical health is only half the equation, and honestly, it might not even be the more important half. Mental health matters just as much, maybe more, because your mind is the command center for everything. Every decision you make, every emotion you feel, every action you take originates in your mind. And if your mind is not healthy, nothing else works properly. Think about it. When you are stressed, you make impulsive decisions. When you are anxious, you avoid risks that could change your life. When you are overwhelmed, you shut down and procrastinate. When you are burned out, you lose your creativity, your passion, your drive. Mental health is not a luxury. It is not something that only matters if you have a diagnosed condition. Mental health is the operating system of your entire life. And if the operating system is corrupted, everything that runs on it suffers. Today, more people than ever are struggling silently. They smile on the outside. They post happy pictures on social media. They say, "I am fine," when people ask. But inside, they are drowning. Stress, anxiety, fear, overthinking, comparison, loneliness, imposter syndrome. The constant pressure to be more, do more, have more, while pretending that everything is okay. And the tragic part is that most people never talk about it, because society has taught us that mental struggle is weakness, that real men do not cry, that successful women do not break down, that asking for help means admitting failure. But that is a lie, a dangerous, destructive lie that keeps people trapped in suffering they do not have to endure alone. Self-care is not a trend. It is not a hashtag. It is not bubble baths and scented candles, though those are nice too. Real self-care is listening to your mind when it tells you something is wrong. It is acknowledging your emotions instead of stuffing them down. It is accepting your pain instead of pretending it does not exist. It is being kind to yourself instead of beating yourself up for not being perfect. It is setting boundaries with people and situations that drain your energy. It is saying no without guilt. It is asking for help without shame. Sometimes just 5 minutes of stillness can redirect your entire day. 5 minutes of deep breathing in the morning. 5 minutes of sitting quietly without your phone. 5 minutes of checking in with yourself and asking, how am I really doing? Not how do I look on the outside, but how am I actually feeling on the inside? These moments of pause are not wasted time. They are investments in your mental clarity, your emotional stability, and your long-term resilience. We often tell ourselves, I will focus on my health when things calm down. when work gets easier, when the kids are older, when I have more money, when life gets less hectic. But that is backwards. You do not wait for life to get better before you take care of yourself. You take care of yourself so that life can get better. Because when your body is strong, your mind is clear, and your emotions are stable, everything else improves. Your decisions become sharper. Your focus becomes stronger. Your confidence becomes unshakable. Your ability to handle stress, setbacks, and challenges becomes infinitely greater. Remember this: reaching your dreams requires more than motivation. It requires stamina. It requires energy. It requires long-term fitness, both physical and mental. Shortcuts might get you ahead for a little while, but sustained success demands a strong foundation, and that foundation is your health. So make a promise to yourself today. Give your body the same respect you give your ambitions. Give your mind the same attention you give your career. Give your emotional well-being the same priority you give your goals. Because if your body gives out, the road to your dreams ends right there. It is time to stop treating health as something you will get to eventually and start treating it as the single most important priority in your life. Not so you can just live longer, but so you can live fully, with energy, with clarity, with strength, with a kind of vitality that makes every day feel like an opportunity instead of an obligation. Because at the end of the day, one truth remains constant. A healthy you is your most powerful version. And when your body, your mind, and your spirit are all firing together, no destination in this world is too far to reach. Chapter 5. Your network is your net worth. Let me ask you a question that might change how you see your entire life. Why is it that some people seem to accelerate through life while others, equally talented, equally hardworking, stay stuck in the same place for years? How do certain people always seem to be in the right place at the right time? How do they find the right opportunities, meet the right people, get the right breaks? Is it luck? Is it fate? Is it some mysterious cosmic advantage that the rest of us were not born with? Maybe sometimes, but most of the time, the answer is far more practical than that. It is their network. It is the people around them, the friends they keep, the mentors they learn from, the communities they belong to, the conversations they have when nobody is watching. Because here is something that does not get talked about enough. Your success in life is not determined solely by what you know. It is often determined by who you know and, more importantly, who knows you. The people in your life are not just background characters in your story. They are co-authors. They are shaping your thoughts, influencing your habits, and quietly steering the direction of your future, whether you realize it or not. Think about it honestly. When you spend time with someone who is ambitious, driven, and constantly growing, what happens to you? You start thinking bigger. You start setting higher standards. You start believing that more is possible because you can see it happening right in front of you. Their energy becomes your energy. Their ambition becomes contagious. Their mindset starts to rub off on you in ways you cannot even measure. But the opposite is also true. When you spend most of your time with people who complain constantly, who see problems everywhere, who dismiss other people's success as luck or privilege, who never take responsibility for their own lives, something happens to you too. Their negativity seeps into your thinking. Their limitations become your limitations. Their ceiling becomes your ceiling. And the most dangerous part is that it happens so gradually, so quietly, that you do not even notice it until you wake up one day and realize you have become a version of yourself you never intended to be. There is a concept that has been attributed to many thinkers over the years, and it goes like this. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Now, you can debate whether that is literally, mathematically true, but the principle behind it is undeniable. The people closest to you have an enormous influence on your standards, your beliefs, your ambitions, and your behavior. If your 5 closest friends are all committed to personal growth, chances are you will be too. If your 5 closest friends spend every weekend complaining about how unfair life is while doing nothing to change it, chances are you will find yourself doing the same thing. Let me tell you about a young man named Jordan. Jordan was 26, living in a small apartment in Cleveland, Ohio. He was smart, self-taught, and incredibly hard-working. He had read over 100 books on business, marketing, and personal development by the time he was 25. He had taken online courses. He had built a decent portfolio of freelance work. He had all the raw ingredients for success. But year after year, his growth was painfully slow. He could not figure out why. He was doing everything the books told him to do. He was putting in the hours. He was learning constantly. So why was he not getting results? Then one afternoon, he met a man named Victor at a local business networking event in downtown Cleveland. Victor was in his 50s, a serial entrepreneur who had built and sold 3 companies. He had the kind of calm, grounded confidence that comes from decades of experience. Jordan expected Victor to give him some brilliant business strategy, some secret formula that would unlock everything. Instead, Victor said something simple that hit Jordan like a lightning bolt. You are talented, kid. You are doing all the right things, but you are doing them alone. And the problem with walking alone is that the road is always longer than it needs to be. Jordan went home that night and thought about what Victor had said, and he realized something uncomfortable. He had no real network. He had acquaintances. He had followers on social media. He had people who liked his posts. But he did not have anyone who truly challenged his thinking. He did not have anyone who could open doors he could not open himself. He did not have anyone who had already walked the path he was trying to walk and could show him the shortcuts, the pitfalls, and the hidden opportunities. He had been so proud of being self-made that he had accidentally become self-limited. That conversation changed everything for Jordan. He started attending more events. He started reaching out to people he admired, not to ask for favors, but to learn from them, to listen to their stories, to understand how they thought about problems and opportunities. He joined a mastermind group of other young entrepreneurs. He found a mentor who met with him once a month for coffee to review his progress and challenge his assumptions. Within a year, Jordan's life was unrecognizable, not because he suddenly became more talented. He was always talented, but because the right people amplified his talent in ways he could never have done on his own. One connection led to his first major client. One conversation led to a partnership that doubled his revenue. One introduction led to an opportunity he never would have known existed if he had stayed in his apartment alone, reading another book. That is the power of a real network. Not a LinkedIn connection count, not a follower number, not a stack of business cards collecting dust in a drawer. A real network is people who genuinely care about your growth. People who give you honest feedback, even when it is uncomfortable. People who celebrate your wins and pick you up when you fall. People who push you to think bigger, reach higher, and become better than you were yesterday. There is a rule that I believe in deeply. If you are the smartest person in the room, you are in the wrong room. That might sound harsh, but it is one of the most important principles for growth. Because growth happens at the edges of your comfort zone. Growth happens when you are surrounded by people who are further along than you, who challenge you, who inspire you, who make you feel a little uncomfortable because they show you how far you still have to go. And I know that can feel intimidating. Walking into a room full of people who are more experienced, more successful, more knowledgeable than you, it is not easy. It takes courage. It takes humility. It takes the willingness to be a student instead of an expert. But that discomfort is the price of growth, and it is always worth paying. Now, here is the other side of the equation that most people forget. Networking is not just about what you can get. It is about what you can give. The strongest networks are not built on transactions. They are built on trust, generosity, and mutual respect. When you approach people with a mindset of, "How can I help you?" rather than "What can you do for me?" something magical happens. People want to be around you. People want to help you in return. People remember you, not because you were the most impressive person in the room, but because you were the most genuine. Sometimes, the biggest opportunity of your life does not come from a formal meeting or a polished pitch. It comes from a random conversation at a coffee shop, a comment you left on someone's post that started a dialogue, a small act of kindness that someone remembered years later. Your next breakthrough might be hiding in a WhatsApp group you've been ignoring. Your next mentor might be sitting at the table next to you at a restaurant. Your next business partner might be someone you have not even met yet, but will cross paths with next week if you are open to it. So learn to add value to people. Learn to listen, genuinely listen, not just wait for your turn to talk. Learn to build relationships that are real, that are based on mutual respect and shared values, not just on what you can extract from each other. But also, ask yourself an honest question. Am I someone that others would want in their network? Am I bringing value to the people around me? Am I contributing to other people's growth, or am I only focused on my own? Because a true network is not a one-way street. It is a community built on give and take. And when you give generously, when you invest in other people's success, the world has a funny way of investing in yours. So make a decision today. Stop trying to do everything alone. Stop wearing isolation like a badge of honor. Start building a circle of people who push you to be better. People who applaud your victories and hold your hand through your defeats. People who see your potential even when you cannot see it yourself. Because at the end of the day, success is not just about reaching the destination, it is about the people who walk the journey with you and make you stronger along the way. And remember this, your net worth is often determined not by your bank account, but by your network. Because the right people can open doors for you that you never even knew existed. Doors that would have stayed shut forever if you had tried to go it alone. Chapter 6. Discipline over motivation. Be honest with me for a second. How many times have you watched a motivational video and felt like you could conquer the entire world? How many times have you listened to a powerful speech, read an inspiring quote, or finished a self-help book and thought, that is it? This is the moment everything changes? How many Monday mornings have you woken up with fire in your chest, ready to overhaul your entire life? Today, I start working out. Today, I start eating clean. Today, I start waking up early. Today, I start reading every day. Today, I start building the life I have always wanted, and for a few hours, maybe even a few days, it feels real. The energy is there, the excitement is there, the vision is crystal clear. You feel unstoppable. You feel like a different person. You feel like this time, finally, it is going to stick. But then something happens. It always does. Day 3 rolls around, and the enthusiasm starts to fade. Day 5, and the old habits start creeping back in. Day 7, and that fire in your chest has been replaced by the familiar comfort of your old routine. The alarm goes off early, and you hit snooze. The gym bag sits by the door untouched. The book goes back on the shelf. The healthy meal gets replaced by a delivery order. And before you know it, everything is exactly the way it was before. Nothing changed. Again. Sound familiar? If it does, you are not alone. This cycle is one of the most universal human experiences on the planet. And the reason it keeps happening, the reason millions of people get stuck in this loop of inspiration followed by inaction, is not because they are weak. It is not because they do not want it badly enough. It is not because they lack potential or talent or vision. It is because they are relying on the wrong fuel. They are relying on motivation, and motivation, as powerful as it feels in the moment, is one of the most unreliable forces in human psychology. Here is what nobody tells you about motivation. Motivation is a spark. It is beautiful. It is exciting. It lights up the room. It gets you off the couch and into action. It makes you feel alive and capable and invincible. But sparks do not last. They flare up, burn bright for a moment, and then they die. That is their nature. You cannot build a fire that lasts all winter with just sparks. You need fuel. You need logs. You need something steady and consistent that keeps the flame burning long after the initial excitement is gone. And that something is discipline. Discipline is the fuel that keeps the fire alive when the spark of motivation is burned out. Discipline is what shows up on the days when you do not feel like it, when the weather is cold, when your body is sore, when the results are not showing yet, when nobody is watching, when nobody is cheering, when every fiber of your being is screaming at you to quit, to rest, to take a day off, to start again next Monday. Discipline says no. We do this now, not because it feels good, not because it is exciting, but because this is who we are. This is what we do. This is a standard we have set for ourselves, and we do not negotiate with our own excuses. Think about any world-class performer in any field, a professional athlete, a concert pianist, a best-selling author, a championship chess player, a surgeon. Do you think they only practice when they feel motivated? Do you think a professional basketball player only shoots free throws when inspiration strikes? Do you think a neurosurgeon only studies anatomy when they are in the mood? Of course not. These people show up every single day regardless of how they feel. They practice when they are tired. They study when they are bored. They train when their body is screaming at them to stop. They do the work that nobody sees the repetitive, unglamorous, often mind-numbingly boring work because they understand something that most people never grasp. Excellence is not built in moments of inspiration. Excellence is built in moments of discipline. It is built in those quiet, ordinary, unremarkable moments when you choose to do the right thing, even though every part of you wants to do the easy thing. A writer who only writes when inspiration strikes will never finish a book. An athlete who only trains when they feel energetic will never win a championship. A student who only studies when they are in the mood will never master their subject. Because success is not created by one dramatic, cinematic moment. Success is created by small, consistent actions repeated over and over and over again. The same actions that feel boring, the same actions that nobody applauds, the same actions that nobody posts about on social media, but the same actions that, over time, compound into something extraordinary. Let me tell you about a woman named Sophie. Sophie was 31, living in a suburb of Minneapolis. She had been talking about getting in shape for as long as anyone could remember. Every January, like clockwork, she would announce her new fitness goals. This is my year. I am going to transform my body. I am going to run a half marathon. I'm going to finally feel confident in my own skin. And every January, she would throw herself into it with everything she had. She would buy new workout clothes. She would sign up for a gym membership. She would download 3 different fitness apps. She would stock her fridge with kale, quinoa, and protein powder. She would set her alarm for 5:30 in the morning and attack her first workout like her life depended on it. Day 1 was amazing. She felt powerful. She felt alive. She took a selfie at the gym and posted it with a caption about new beginnings. Day 2 was good. A little sore, but still riding the wave of excitement. Day 3, the soreness was worse. Her legs felt like concrete, but she pushed through. Day 4, she told herself she deserved a rest day. Day 5, something came up at work. Day 6, she was too tired. Day 7, she slept through her alarm. And by the end of the second week, the gym membership was collecting dust, the kale was rotting in the fridge, and Sophie was back on the couch watching Netflix and eating takeout, feeling worse than before because now she had the added weight of failure and disappointment sitting on her chest. This happened every single year. Same resolution, same burst of energy, same collapse, year after year after year, and every time Sophie blamed herself. She thought she was weak. She thought she lacked willpower. She thought there was something fundamentally wrong with her that made her incapable of following through. But the problem was never Sophie. The problem was her strategy. She was building her entire plan on a foundation of motivation. And motivation, by its very nature, is temporary. It is like building a house on sand. It feels solid at first, but the moment the tide comes in, the whole thing collapses. What Sophie needed was not more motivation. What she needed was discipline. Not the drill sergeant punish yourself for every mistake kind of discipline, the quiet, steady, show up every day kind of discipline, the kind that does not need fireworks to function, the kind that does not depend on how you feel when the alarm goes off, the kind that says, I made a commitment to myself and I am going to honor it. Period. Here is what most people do not understand about discipline. Discipline is not about willpower. It is not about forcing yourself to do things you hate through sheer brute force. Discipline is about identity. It is about deciding who you are and then acting consistently with that decision. When you tell yourself, I am a person who exercises every day, going to the gym stops being a debate. It becomes a fact, like brushing your teeth. You do not wake up every morning and have an internal argument about whether or not to brush your teeth. You just do it, because that is who you are. That is what you do. Discipline works the same way. When you attach a behavior to your identity, when you make it part of who you are rather than something you are trying to do, the need for motivation disappears. You do not need to feel inspired to be yourself. You just are. Think about this. Your alarm goes off at 6 in the morning. Your brain immediately starts negotiating. Just 5 more minutes. You are so tired. It is cold outside. You can work out tomorrow. But you get up anyway, not because you feel motivated, not because some voice in your head is giving you a pep talk, but because you made a decision about who you are, and the person you decided to be does not hit snooze. That is discipline. It is 1,000 tiny decisions made every day that most people would never notice. Choosing water over soda, choosing the book over the phone, choosing the workout over the couch, choosing the difficult conversation over comfortable silence, choosing the early morning over the late night, choosing progress over pleasure. None of these choices are dramatic. None of them make headlines. None of them will earn you applause or likes or followers. But stacked together, day after day, week after week, month after month, they build a character that is unbreakable. They build a life that is extraordinary. They build a version of you that the old version would not even recognize. Motivation is like the weather. It comes and goes. Some days you feel it, some days you do not. You cannot control it, predict it, or depend on it. But discipline is like a soldier. It stands firm in every season, rain or shine, victory or defeat, energy or exhaustion. It does not negotiate. It does not make excuses. It does not wait for perfect conditions. It just shows up and does the work. And at the end of the road, it is the soldier, not the weather, that wins the war. So here's what I want you to do. Make a promise to yourself today. Not a big dramatic promise, a small one. Choose one habit, just one. Something you can do every single day without fail. Maybe it is reading for 10 minutes. Maybe it is walking for 15 minutes. Maybe it is writing in a journal. Maybe it is doing 20 push-ups. Whatever it is, commit to it. And then do it every single day. No exceptions. No negotiations. No, I will start tomorrow. No, I do not feel like it today. Because the days when you do not feel like it are exactly the days that matter most. Those are the days that define you. Those are the days that build your discipline muscle. Those are the days that separate the people who wish for a better life from the people who actually build one. Remember, consistency creates miracles, and consistency is just another word for discipline. If you get just 1% better every single day, 365 days from now, you will be standing in a place you cannot even imagine right now. So stop waiting for motivation to strike. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect mood, the perfect circumstances. They do not exist. Start now. Start messy. Start scared. Start tired. Just start, and then keep going. One day at a time, one rep at a time, one page at a time, one step at a time. Because a disciplined person does not need to move mountains in a single day. They just need to move one small stone every single day, and eventually the mountain moves itself. So the next time your motivation fades, the next time that familiar voice in your head whispers, maybe. Tomorrow, ask yourself one question. Am I acting like the person I want to become? If the answer is yes, keep going. If the answer is no, do not wait for motivation to rescue you. Let discipline take the wheel. Because when motivation falls asleep, discipline is the only thing that keeps you moving forward. And it is the only thing that will carry you all the way to where you are meant to be. Chapter 7. Learn, apply, repeat. Let me ask you something that might make you a little uncomfortable. Think about all the books you have read in your life, all the courses you have taken, all the podcasts you have listened to, all the motivational videos you have watched, all the seminars you have attended, all the notes you have taken, all the highlights you have saved, all the screenshots of inspirational quotes sitting in your phone's camera roll right now. Got that number in your head? Good. Now ask yourself one brutally honest question. How much of that knowledge has actually changed your life? Not how much of it made you feel good for a few hours. Not how much of it gave you a temporary boost of inspiration. Not how much of it made you nod your head and think, wow, that is so true. How much of it actually, tangibly, measurably changed the way you live, the decisions you make, the habits you practice, the results you produce. If you are being honest, and I mean truly honest, the answer for most people is very little, almost none. And that is not because the books were bad. It is not because the courses were useless. It is not because the podcasts were shallow. It is because there is a massive gaping difference between learning something and actually applying it. And most people are stuck on the learning side, forever consuming, forever absorbing, forever collecting information, but never converting it into action. They read books and underline passages, but never implement a single strategy. They watch videos and take notes, but never put a single idea into practice. They attend seminars and feel inspired for 3 days, but return to their old lives without changing a single behavior. And then they wonder why nothing is different. Why their lives feel exactly the same as they did a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. Here is the truth that will either frustrate you or liberate you, depending on how you receive it. Knowledge is not power. I know that contradicts everything you have ever heard. We have been told since childhood that knowledge is power. And it sounds great. It makes a nice poster. But it is incomplete. Knowledge is potential power. Applied knowledge is actual power. The value of an idea is not in understanding it. The value of an idea is in using it. You can memorize every principle in every personal development book ever written. You can quote Tony Robbins. You can recite passages from Marcus Aurelius. You can explain the science of habit formation better than a psychology professor. But if none of that knowledge has changed how you actually live your daily life, then it is not knowledge. It is entertainment. Expensive, time-consuming entertainment that makes you feel productive without actually producing anything. Let me tell you about a guy named Oliver. Oliver lived in a small town outside of London. He was 33 and absolutely obsessed with fitness. Not with being fit, mind you, with knowing about fitness. He could tell you the difference between hypertrophy training and strength training. He knew the optimal protein-to-carb ratio for muscle building. He could explain the science behind progressive overload, periodization, and metabolic conditioning. He followed every major fitness influencer on YouTube. He had watched hundreds of workout videos. He had saved dozens of meal plans. He had bookmarked articles about supplement stacks and recovery protocols. Oliver knew more about fitness than most personal trainers. There was just one problem. He had never stepped foot inside a gym, not once. He had all the knowledge in the world, but zero experience. He knew exactly what to do, but had never actually done it. And so, despite years of learning, his body looked exactly the same as it did the day he started. Nothing had changed, because information without implementation is just noise. Now, I am not telling you Oliver's story to make fun of him. I am telling it because we all have a little bit of Oliver in us. Maybe not with fitness, maybe with something else. Maybe you have been learning about starting a business for 3 years but have never launched anything. Maybe you have been reading about meditation for 6 months but have never sat down and actually meditated. Maybe you have been studying communication skills but have never had the courage to speak up in a meeting. Maybe you have been watching videos about financial planning but have never opened an investment account. We hide behind learning because learning feels safe. Learning feels productive. Learning gives us the illusion of progress without the risk of failure. When you are learning, you cannot fail. You cannot be rejected. You cannot be embarrassed. You are just preparing, getting ready, building the foundation, except that for most people, the preparation never ends. They are always getting ready, but never actually starting. Always almost there, but never arriving. Always one more book, one more course, one more video away from being ready. But here is the hard truth. You will never feel fully ready. Readiness is not a destination you arrive at. It is a feeling you create by taking action before you are comfortable. The real formula for growth is not complicated. It is 3 words: learn, apply, repeat. That is it. That is the entire secret. Learn something new. Apply it to your life immediately. Then repeat the cycle over and over again until it becomes second nature. This is the process that separates learners from achievers. Learners know, achievers do. And the ones who know and do are the ones who actually changed their lives. If you read a book about time management, do not just nod your head and put it on the shelf. Tomorrow morning, restructure your schedule based on what you learned. If you listen to a podcast about communication, do not just think that was interesting. That same day, go have a conversation where you practice what you heard. If you learn a new concept about building confidence, do not save it in a note for later. Right now, today, do one thing that scares you just a little. Take one small action that pushes you outside your comfort zone. Because learning only becomes valuable when it is converted into action. And action only becomes transformative when it is repeated consistently. Here is something else that most people get wrong. They think they need perfect clarity before they can take action. They think they need to understand everything, have every detail figured out, see the entire path laid out in front of them before they take the first step. But that is not how life works. Clarity does not come before action. Clarity comes from action. You do not figure out the path by staring at a map. You figure out the path by walking. You learn by doing. You improve by failing. You grow by trying things that might not work and adjusting course based on what happens. The first attempt will be messy. That is guaranteed. It might even be terrible. Your first workout will be awkward. Your first business idea might flop. Your first attempt at public speaking might be a disaster. Your first draft of anything will probably be embarrassing. But so what? Every expert in every field was once a complete beginner. Every master was once a student who had no idea what they were doing. Every great achievement in human history started with a clumsy, imperfect, uncertain first step. The difference between the people who eventually succeed and the people who stay stuck is not talent, intelligence, or luck. It is the willingness to take that imperfect first step and then keep stepping. When you learn something and immediately apply it, something powerful happens inside you. Your confidence grows. Not the fake, surface-level confidence that comes from positive affirmations in the mirror. Real, deep, earned confidence that comes from knowing you can actually do things, not just talk about them. Every time you take a lesson and put it into practice, your mind matures a little. Your understanding deepens. Your skills sharpen. Your identity shifts. Slowly, quietly, you start becoming someone who does not just consume ideas, but creates results. And that is a fundamentally different kind of person. That is the kind of person who changes their own life and eventually changes the lives of others too. There is a profound difference between a learner and an achiever. A learner says, I know how to do that. An achiever says, I have done that, and here is what I learned. A learner has bookmarks. An achiever has battle scars. A learner has notes. An achiever has results. Both are valuable, but only one actually moves the needle. So here is my challenge to you. The next time you read a book, watch a video, listen to a podcast, or learn something new, make a commitment. Before the day is over, you will take one small action based on what you learned. One action. It does not have to be perfect. It does not have to be big. It does not have to be impressive. It just has to be real. Write one paragraph of that book you have been thinking about. Send one email to that person you have been wanting to connect with. Do one workout. Have one difficult conversation. Make one small investment. Start one tiny habit. Because small actions are the seeds of great achievements. And the harvest does not come from the seeds you saved in a jar. It comes from the seeds you planted in the ground. Action is not always pretty. It is not always comfortable. It is not always successful. But action always produces progress. While sitting and thinking and planning and preparing and consuming more content produces exactly what it has always produced. More sitting, more thinking, more planning, more preparing, and more of the same results you have always gotten. So make a new rule for yourself starting today. Every time you learn, you act. Every idea gets an experiment. Every lesson gets an implementation. Every piece of knowledge gets tested in the real world, because the real secret to changing your life is not learning more. It is doing more with what you have already learned. Learn, apply, repeat. Learn, apply, repeat. Over and over and over again. And one day, those small, imperfect, consistent actions will transform you into the person who, right now, only exists in your imagination. The gap between who you are and who you want to be is not filled with more information. It is filled with action. So close the book, pause the video, put down the phone, and go do something right now, today. Because The world does not reward the people who know the most. The world rewards the people who do the most with what they know. So here we are, at the end of this journey. Or maybe, if you have been truly listening, at the beginning of one. We have covered a lot of ground together. We have talked about recognizing yourself as your greatest asset. We have explored why time is the most valuable currency you will ever possess. We have dug into the importance of upgrading your mind every single day. We have confronted the uncomfortable truth about health and why it is the foundation everything else is built on. We have discussed the extraordinary power of your network and the people you choose to surround yourself with. We have drawn the line between motivation and discipline and shown you why only one of them can carry you to the finish line. And we have broken down the simple but life-changing formula of learn, apply, repeat. But before we wrap this up, I want to ask you one more question, the most important question of this entire conversation, and I want you to sit with it. Really sit with it. Do not rush past it. Do not nod and scroll to the next thing. Let it land. Are you actually investing in the most valuable thing in your life? And that thing is you. Because here is what I have noticed about most people. Most people spend their entire lives improving everything around them while neglecting the one thing that makes everything else possible. They work overtime to earn more money. They renovate their homes. They upgrade their cars. They buy new clothes. They curate their social media profiles to look perfect. They chase promotions, titles, recognition, approval. They invest in stocks, real estate, retirement funds. They pour time and energy into making sure everything on the outside looks polished and impressive. But when was the last time they invested the same energy into what is happening on the inside? When was the last time they sat down and honestly asked themselves, am I growing? Am I getting better? Am I becoming the person I actually want to be? Or am I just running on a treadmill, moving fast but going nowhere? That is the trap, the hamster wheel of modern life. We are so busy doing that we forget to become. We are so focused on having that we forget about being. We measure our worth by what we own instead of who we are. And then we wonder why, despite having more than any generation in human history, so many of us feel empty, anxious, lost, and unfulfilled. It is because we have been investing in the wrong things. We have been pouring our time, our energy, our attention, our best years into assets that depreciate, while ignoring the one asset that only appreciates. You. You are the one investment that always grows. You are the one asset that can never be taken from you. You are the one resource that gets more valuable the more you develop it. Everything else in your life, your career, your relationships, your finances, your health, your happiness, is a direct reflection of the person you are becoming. When you grow, everything around you grows. When you improve, everything around you improves. When you invest in yourself, the returns show up in every area of your life, often in ways you never expected. Let me take you back to the beginning for a moment. Remember what we talked about in the first chapter? That your value as a human being has nothing to do with your job title, your bank balance, or what other people think of you. That your greatest asset is not your house or your car or your degree. It is you, your mind, your body, your character, your capacity to learn, grow, adapt, and overcome. I want you to hold on to that truth like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. The world will constantly try to convince you that your worth is determined by external measures. Social media will tell you that you are only as valuable as your follower count. Corporate culture will tell you that you are only as valuable as your last quarterly review. Society will tell you that you are only as valuable as the brand names in your closet or the zip code on your address. But none of that is true. None of it. Your worth is inherent. It is built into you. It is not something you earn. It is something you uncover by doing the work of becoming who you were always meant to be. Now let me bring it all together, because the chapters we have been through are not separate ideas floating in isolation. They are interconnected. They are pieces of the same puzzle, and when you put them together, they create a complete picture of what it means to truly invest in yourself. It starts with your mindset. Your mind is the command center. Everything flows from how you think. If your thinking is small, your life will be small. If your thinking is fearful, your life will be limited by fear. If your thinking is clouded by doubt, comparison, and negativity, your decisions will reflect that, and your results will follow. But when you commit to upgrading your mind daily, when you feed it with new ideas, new perspectives, new knowledge, new questions, something remarkable happens. Your world expands. You start seeing possibilities where you used to see dead ends. You start believing in yourself where you used to doubt. You start making decisions from a place of clarity and confidence instead of confusion and fear. The mind is where transformation begins. Always. Then there is your time, the one resource you can never get back, the one currency that spends itself whether you use it wisely or not. We talked about how most people spend their time instead of investing it, how they scroll, procrastinate, overthink, and push things to tomorrow, without realizing that every wasted minute is a piece of their future they will never recover. But when you start treating your time with the respect it deserves, when you become intentional about how you spend your hours, your days, your weeks, the compound effect is staggering. Small investments of time, made consistently over months and years, create results that seem almost impossible when you look back at where you started. 30 minutes a day is nothing, but 365 days of 30 minutes is everything. Then comes your health, the foundation that holds everything up. Without your health, nothing else matters. Not your money, not your goals, not your dreams, not your relationships. We talked about how easy it is to neglect your body and mind in the pursuit of success, how we sacrifice sleep, skip meals, ignore stress, and push ourselves past our limits until our bodies force us to stop. But we also talked about how simple it is to start. A walk, a glass of water, a good night's sleep, 5 minutes of stillness. These are not grand gestures. They are daily acts of self-respect that compound into extraordinary vitality over time. Your body is the vehicle that carries you toward your dreams. Take care of it, protect it, invest in it, because without it, the journey ends before it begins. Then there are the people in your life, your network, the friends, mentors, peers, and communities that shape your thinking, influence your habits, and quietly determine the trajectory of your future. We talked about how the people around you can either lift you up or hold you down, how being in the right room, surrounded by the right people, can accelerate your growth in ways that no amount of solo effort can match, and how isolating yourself, no matter how talented you are, almost always leads to slower progress and missed opportunities. Build your network with intention. Seek out people who challenge you, inspire you, and hold you to a higher standard. And do not forget to give back. The strongest networks are built on generosity, trust, and mutual respect. Then we talked about discipline, the unsexy, unglamorous, uninstagrammable force that separates dreamers from doers. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you going. Motivation is the spark. Discipline is the fuel. And when the spark inevitably fades, as it always does, discipline is the only thing standing between you and your old life. We talked about how discipline is not about punishment or willpower. It is about identity. It is about deciding who you are and then showing up as that person every single day, regardless of how you feel. The person who exercises is not debating whether to go to the gym. The person who reads is not debating whether to pick up the book. They just do it, because that is who they are. Build your identity one disciplined decision at a time, and eventually the need for motivation disappears entirely. And finally, we talked about the most important principle of all: learn, apply, repeat. The idea that knowledge without action is just entertainment. That consuming information is not the same as creating change. That the gap between who you are and who you want to be is not filled with more books, more courses, more videos, or more inspiration. It is filled with action. Imperfect, messy, uncomfortable action taken consistently over time. Stop waiting until you feel ready. Stop preparing to prepare. Stop saving ideas in a notes app and start testing them in the real world. Because the world does not reward what you know. It rewards what you do with what you know. Now, here is the part that matters more than everything I have said so far. What are you going to do with all of this? Because right now, in this exact moment, you have a choice. The same choice you have every single day. You can let this be another piece of content that made you feel something for a few minutes and then faded into the background noise of your life. You can nod, agree, maybe share it with a friend, and then go right back to doing exactly what you have been doing. That is one option. It is the easy option, the comfortable option, the option that requires nothing from you. Or you can make a different choice. You can decide right here, right now, today, that something changes. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, not on January 1st. Today. You can decide that from this moment forward, you are going to take yourself seriously. You are going to treat yourself like the valuable, irreplaceable, extraordinary asset that you actually are. You are going to stop putting yourself last on the priority list. You are going to stop pouring all of your energy into everything and everyone else while leaving nothing for yourself. You are going to stop waiting for the perfect moment and start creating it right now. And it does not have to be big. That is the beautiful thing about investing in yourself. It does not require a dramatic overhaul. It does not require you to quit your job, sell your house, or move to a different country. It does not require thousands of dollars or hundreds of hours. It just requires one small decision made today and repeated tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. Maybe you start reading for 10 minutes before bed tonight. Maybe you go for a walk after dinner this evening. Maybe you wake up 15 minutes earlier tomorrow and spend that time in silence. checking in with yourself, setting your intention for the day. Maybe you reach out to someone you admire and start building a connection. Maybe you say no to something that drains you and yes to something that fills you up. Maybe you close the apps that waste your time and open the book that has been sitting on your nightstand for months. Maybe you write down 3 goals for the week and commit to making a progress on at least one of them before Friday. Whatever it is, start small. Start today. And do not stop. Because here is the truth about change that most people never grasp. Change does not happen in one explosive moment. Change happens in the accumulation of small, quiet, consistent decisions that nobody else sees. It happens in the mornings when you choose to get up instead of sleep in. It happens in the evenings when you choose to read instead of scroll. It happens in the moments when you choose discipline over comfort, growth over stagnation, action over excuses. It happens slowly, gradually, almost imperceptibly, until one day you look back and realize that the distance between who you were and who you have become is so vast that it takes your breath away. That is the power of investing in yourself, not in one dramatic gesture, but in 1,000 tiny ones, stacked on top of each other, day after day, month after month, year after year. I want to leave you with something that I believe with every fiber of my being. You are capable of more than you think, way more. The dreams you have, the goals you have set, the vision you have for your life, they are not too big. You are not reaching too high. You are not being unrealistic. If anything, you are probably thinking too small, because the human capacity for growth, for learning, for transformation, for reinvention is virtually unlimited. You have not even begun to scratch the surface of what you are capable of. And the only thing standing between the person you are today and the person you could become is a decision to invest in yourself, a decision to show up for yourself every single day, a decision to believe that you are worth the effort, the time, the energy, and the commitment that self-investment requires. Because you are worth it. You have always been worth it. The world just never told you that, and maybe you never told yourself. So let this be the moment. Not the moment when you felt inspired, not the moment when you thought about changing, the moment when you actually decided, today I start investing in myself. Today I choose growth over comfort. Today I choose action over excuses. Today I choose discipline over distraction. Today I recognize that I am the greatest asset I will ever have, and I refuse to let that asset go to waste any longer. If this message has touched something inside you, if something in these words resonated with a part of you that has been waiting to be woken up, then honor that feeling by doing something about it. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Make a plan for tomorrow morning. Decide what your first small step will be. Write it down. Commit to it. And then follow through. Because every big transformation in history, every raging fire that ever burned, started with a single spark. And this, right here, right now, can be yours. Remember, small daily improvements are the beginning of extraordinary results. Every book you read makes your mind sharper. Every workout you do makes your body stronger. Every healthy boundary you set makes your spirit freer. Every disciplined choice you make builds a character that cannot be shaken. Every meaningful connection you nurture expands your world in ways you cannot predict. And every single day that you choose to invest in yourself, you are building a future that the current version of you can barely imagine. This is not the end of a conversation. This is the beginning of a commitment to yourself, to your growth, to your health, to your mind, to your time, to your potential, to the person you are becoming. The journey will not always be easy. There will be days when you want to quit, days when the progress feels invisible, days when the old habits call your name and the new ones feel impossibly hard. But on those days, remember this: you have already taken the hardest step. You have already made the decision. And every step after the first one gets a little easier, a little more natural, a little more like the person you were always meant to be. So go, start, move, act, build, grow, invest. Not in the stock market, not in real estate, not in gold or crypto or whatever the latest trend is telling you to buy. Invest in the one thing that will never lose its value, the one thing that only gets stronger the more you develop it, the one thing that every other success in your life depends on, you. Because at the end of everything, when all the noise fades and all the distractions disappear and you are left standing alone with the life you have built, only one question will matter. Did I give myself the chance to become who I was truly capable of becoming? Make sure your answer is yes, and start making it yes today. Because there is no asset in this world more valuable than you. There never has been, and there never will be. And the greatest return you will ever earn in your lifetime will not come from any external investment. It will come from the investment you made in yourself. So invest wisely, invest daily, invest relentlessly, and watch as your entire world transforms, one small step at a time.